finally got a full day with this Yi M1 camera, and it's $300, and I absolutely love it. $380 with these two lenses, which this is one of the weirdest things I've seen. This 85 lens that it comes with, 42.5 millimeters and 35 millimeter terms, you can't manually focus it. And I didn't know lenses like that existed. It has this ring that you'd think is a manual focus ring, but you can't do anything with it. You can switch between normal and macro mode, and that's it. And I checked the website just to make sure that is the case, and that is indeed the case. But anyhow, this thing is amazing. At $300 for just the body, okay, it does feel like plastic, but anyway, it's $300. It's a micro four thirds sensor, as you can see, pretty small compared to a APS-C or full frame, but it takes some amazing photos. It can take RAW. The full resolution is about 5K, so if you have an iMac 5K, it fits perfectly for your background. The lenses are fine for what you're getting. I mean, it's plus an extra $80 for two lenses, 12 millimeter and a 40, so that's 24 and 80, and that one's 85, like I said. But the best thing, and this is coming from the A6500, which I used to have, the menus are amazing. Like, they're just as good as Blackmagic's menus on their cameras, and just as good as iOS and Android. And by that, I mean it's simple. All you do is swipe left like Tinder for your settings, and then if you swipe right, it is your picture profiles, vivid, portrait, all that good stuff. And that's it. And that's how a camera should be. Not like Sony and Canon and Nikon. Okay, I haven't used a Nikon in like 8 years. But where you have to have, all your settings in tabs, 1 through I think it was 7 if I remember. And like 1 is stills, 3 is for video, 7 is for like LCD settings, 6 is for formatting your card. It's just nonsense. There's no reason to make it that complicated. This, if you want to format, just swipe it again, come back. There's 2 buttons on this thing. Everything's touchscreen. Record, play, simple dials up here, and that's it. So Sony or Canon, if you're watching, just make your camera settings as easy as this $300 camera. I'll show you a little clip from recording 4K video with it, but the settings, okay, there is no log setting, of course, for the 4K video. It's $300 again, so you can't really complain about that. The outputs, there is no outputs. There's an HDMI, which I don't actually know. I haven't looked up if it outputs full 4K. I kind of doubt it does. Maybe. The SD card and USB for power and updates and transferring your stuff. After that, that's it. There's a battery compartment, of course, which you get little tiny battery. I don't know which other cameras that uses this one, but who cares? It's $300. It's made out of plastic. There's hot shoe mount. Yes, it is hot shoe. And oh, one more big thing. There's no viewfinder, which again, I didn't know any cameras like that existed, but no going like this. You can only do everything from the LCD screen, which works out fine. But again, if you do, for example, when I was using that 85 millimeter and I wanted to get really close to something, it's just strange. You have to really change your whole perspective, especially if you've been doing photography for a long time, by holding the camera and then looking at the LCD screen instead of having your face right up in it. It's problematic, of course, if you're outside in a really bright area. The screen doesn't go that bright, so it's a little bit difficult. But again, for the price, you really cannot complain. I'd recommend this thing so far, especially if you're looking for a budget camera. Actually, no, this is the only camera at this price range. And most cameras that do start at, like, say, $500 are all 1/2 inch sensors, or even 1 inch sensors if you're lucky, but none have a large micro four thirds like this. So it's a really big bonus. All right, so this is the big reason why I got this camera, was that It indeed shoots 4K, only at 30 frames per second and not 24 frames per second, which is odd because if you can do 30, it can technically do 24. But I emailed them and they got back to me really quickly, I gotta say. And they said they don't plan, no, they said they may implement it in the future, but I cannot do it right now. And I did ask them, just for the hell of it, if they will ever support log, a flat profile to record video in, and they said they will not. And of course, I cannot record any audio into this because there is no audio in. And we'll see just how well, it says there's face detection. I don't know on video if it does or just stills, but it is showing that it's continual autofocus, so we'll see if this is in focus or not.